Aetherdrift is coming to your local game store soon. Before reaching the finish line, if you are planning to save money for the Final Fantasy set, the Spider-Man set, or the rumored Avatar The Last Airbender set that is coming at the end of the year, then here are 10 cards to get from Aetherdrift. I can assure you that number 4 is going to cause chaos and mayhem when you play this, or your opponents might kill you. Hi everyone, welcome back to Zap Zap Magic. I'm Darren and today we're gonna talk about the top 10 cards that you wanna buy for Aetherdrift. Are you ready? Let's go! A quick disclaimer, the cards that I'm suggesting are good in the Commander format. I won't be including the special guest cards, the new Commander cards from the Aetherdrift precons. This list is exclusively from the Aetherdrift main set. As usual, I'm trying to keep this as generic as possible so that these cards are good in your collection and deck. Before I begin this video, here are some honorable mentions, and surprisingly, these 3 cards are very expensive. Number 1 is Radiant Lotus. It is an expensive 6 mana card to cast, and you have to sacrifice a number of artifacts to get that many mana multiplied by 3. While this card is good in an artifact token decks, I'm afraid this does not go well in most decks. It is a very niche card. Number 2 is the Ether Spark. While equipping to a creature, it cannot be attacked, so it dodges being attacked by your opponent's creature. It is a good inclusive in any Voltron deck where it can give them card draw and more mana. However, I don't think this card is an auto-include for most decks, mainly just Voltron or big creature decks. Moreover, it is susceptible to artifact removal spells like Abrade and Vandal Blast. Number 3 is March of the World Ooze. It's another 6 mana enchantment that can turn your entire team into 6/6 army, and is exceptionally good in a game where there are tons of interactions, as you can get tons of elephant creature tokens. However, it is a 6 mana enchantment, and if your playgroup is not very interactive, then this is not a good card to have. Number 10 is Transit Mage. This card can help you find the One Ring, the Ether Spark, Clark Kent Ironwork, Roaming Throne, Throne of Eldraine, Forsaken Monument, Ugin's Nexus, Vanquishing Banner, Banner of Kinship, and many more. With this, they finally complete the search for artifact mage cycle card. Number 9 is Ovia Olomag Artisan. Just like Elvish Piper, cheating big creature at instant speed is always busted, and she gives attacking creature trample too. She can cheat out any creature, especially artifact creatures like Blightsteel Colossus or Platinum Emporium, giving them additional +1/+1 counter. If you like bashing your opponents multiple times, number 8 is Full Throttle. Allows you to have 2 additional combat phases. The downside is, after those 2 combat phases, you don't have an additional main phase, so your turn will come to an end, but getting to bash your opponents for 2 more times is extremely deadly. You can consider putting this card in Ishin deck, Narset deck, or Wolfguard deck. Number 7 is Pyrewood Gearhawk. This card is good in any red-green creature token deck, such as Tovolar, Omnath Locus of Rage, Jetmir decks, and many more. While this Gearhawk doesn't have haste, giving your entire team vigilance and menace is very deadly. When your team attacks, they are hard to block, and they can block defensively too. Pretty good. Moreover, damage can't be prevented. Sorry Teferi's protection, sorry the One Ring or Fog effects. Number 6 is River Churn Monument. This card is a mill engine which can target any number of players. If you are playing a graveyard deck, then you might want to get this card. Also, it messed up your opponent's deck too. If they play Vampiric Tutor something on top, you can mill it away with this card. What I like most about this card is that it gives you the option to mill or not to mill a player. Let's say your opponent is playing a graveyard deck. You have the option to either do the mill or not do the mill, which is so good. Also, that exhaust ability is very devastating as it can mill out your opponent. If the blue player can get their version of Seedborn Muse, then this card is the closest they will ever get. Number 5 is Unstoppable Plan. This card can untap all non-land permanent at your end step. This means that your creatures will have vigilance and you have untapped mana rocks for interaction during your opponent's turn. While this card is not the same power level as Seedborn Muse, it is still a decent card, especially for decks that don't have access to green. Number 4 is Gaunty Night Minister. This card incentivizes your opponents to hit each other, and when they do, they get to steal your opponent's top card and play it as well. Moreover, they get rewarded with a treasure token too? What? Another crazy wording that I want to point out is that it checks for each creature. So if 10 creatures deals combat damage to your opponent, say goodbye to those top 10 cards. This is going to be very messy, it's going to be chaotic. Please remember to count your cards before leaving the game. If you can't get your hands on Iron Man, Titans of Innovation Secret Lair, then this card is the next best thing. Number 3 is Repurposing Bay. They finally give Birding Pod for artifacts. Upgrading your artifacts by cheating a bigger one is always busted, and if you have the right mana and artifacts, you can do it right away. Unlike Oswald Fibblebander, you have to wait for one more turn, unless he has haste. So what sort of artifacts you can cheat out? You can turn Commander Spear into Aetherflux Reservoir. You can turn Timeless Lotus into Bolas' Citadel. You can even turn Platinum Imperium into Portal to Phyrexia. Pretty good in an artifact deck. Alright, we are nearly there now. There's number 2, Bright Glass Gearhulk. This card allows you to search your deck for not 1 but 2 artifacts, creatures, and or enchantments with mana value 1 or less and put them into your hand. In the Commander format, you have, for artifacts, the Ozolith, Sensei Divining Top, Soul Ring, Skull Clamp, Mana Vault. For creatures, you have Esper Sentinel, Serra Ascendant, Giver of Runes, Guide of Soul, Allosaurus Shepherd. For enchantments, Mystic Remora, Sigara 8, Land Tax, and many more. And we haven't even talked about the 0 mana value cards yet. This is a very strong card indeed, and you have white which can blink this card and search for more cards and put it into your hand. Meaning at number 1 is the Last Ride. This is a 1 mana artifact and it is a card draw engine. Please do not crew this unless your life total is less than 13, or else it will die. While Black Market Connections and Phyrexian Arena allows you to draw 1 additional card, the Last Ride allows you to draw multiple cards if you have the right mana and life to do so. If you have Shieldred the Apocalypse, you will negate the paying life cost. If you have Quetzal Augur of Agony, you essentially lost 1 life and target opponent loses 1 life. Since it is a target, maybe you could trigger some commit crime mechanic from Outlaw at Thunder Junction. Moreover, you can do this at instant speed. Live fast, die young. And that is all for today's video. Here are the 10 cards you might want to get your hands on for Aetherdrift. What are your thoughts about this set? Personally, I'm really looking forward to adding Chandra Spark Hunter, Mu Youngling, and other cards into my Edward Kenway deck. finally some new toys to play with. If you are keen on building a vehicle-centric deck, or the new exhaust loot, or even the new Amonkhet gods, you can definitely buy some cards from this set. However, if you don't have any artifact focused deck or vehicle themed deck, then this set might not be the set for you. Do you like it, hate it, or I just want Final Fantasy to come sooner? Please let me know in the comment section. Thank you for reaching the finish line, you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.